Hey, but there's the thing. Like I think Igor told him that he can be around you,
Around you specifically, or Devon?
around me. I'm the person.
Let me ask you something, Artem. What do you think about the fact that this really booming subject, Michael Todd wanted to face Levon during COVID, and the PL seems to have restricted Levon? And not to be too political, I don't, but I'm just curious. Do you feel like the PL restricted Levon because they're actually fearful that he could have lost? Because that's the only reason you would restrict him, in my thought. And now, of course, maybe if he loses to the King's move, you can say it's not a real loss or whatever. But is that do you think that's the reason? It's a fear. Michael is a real threat, or is it something else?
Well, so I've built up my conspiracy theory to believe 100% that it is the reason, right? I originally Igor was always bad as far as his talking goes, right? He's very unprofessional. If he reads his stuff in Russian, he has said a lot of harsh things. That's why me and him are not friends anymore because I was tired of him saying, he'll say some shit like John and shit. Travis Benjamin, nobody was at P. Like
Oh,
he
in
said,
English, it doesn't come out like that. I never seen him do that in
well,
English.
because he doesn't speak English, so
Yeah.
he's not commenting. You go to vk.com, you go to his group, he's commenting there every day. He's every day in comments. You don't see it in English, but you see him over there saying super dumb stuff all the time. So originally, if you follow the translated messages of his videos, they'll try to tell that, Michael did not deserve a spot. Michael, whatever. There was too many different reasons. But then he did say in his video that, well, because people trying to say like, if the match will happen, it will bring more attention. But what they say in their video with Igor and Kirill, they did say that, well, remember when Alexei have pulled Ivan Matushenko prior to pulling Tim Bresnan? And people saw that Alexei was losing to Ivan. So that raised concern. People start talking about it in a bad ways, and they didn't. And even then, they tried to cover that. I just practice. Alexei is in incredible shape. He will smash everybody. Blah 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 blah. And even though I think in my head it was still a good promotion. You're looking good or bad. It's still It's just my opinion about promotion.
Yeah.
So, but they brought it up is the reason. They brought it up because they thought Alexei pulling Ivan destroyed their thing. So they mentioned that. So as them mentioning that, now I think like they either know that Levan and Michael have pulled, and probably Michael is a little bit more difficult for Levan than we all think. And that's why they had to bring it up. They, want them to see Michael working Levan, and then, the hype is Levan is the number one guy. But so I do agree, and I believe in my conspiracy theory that it could have been the reason. I don't know if it's really true, but from the way they decided to phrase this stuff, again, they're really unprofessional. I don't think they're PL, WL, they're not in terms, they don't really know how to run neither. I think PL knows arm wrestling. I think WL doesn't really know that much of either. I think WL knows a little bit about social media. PL knows about arm wrestling. Altogether, they make like terrible mix of nothings. So, what I mean? I feel like, what I mean? I think from
Well,
every
yeah, they're both
social,
missing something the other one has. Yeah.
yeah, and they all together they don't really make a good team anyway, right? Like, I mean, but I don't know. I think PL might know arm wrestling kind of better, right? I think WL doesn't know arm wrestling at all. But regardless, I think if Levan will have pulled Michael, I don't think arm wrestling their promotion will have hurt from that, right? I think them not letting them pull actually now allowed me to bring that stuff that I knew before, right? Because I've been telling people that PL is restricting league, Igor is unprofessional and rude, and he thinks this stuff about you guys, and those guys didn't believe me. And now that they all got in an argument, now because I used to translate Igor's post before and his comments, But nobody ever paid attention. Everybody laughed or whatever. If they did pay attention, they didn't believe me. Now that Igor is publicly saying that stuff, I'm back to translating stuff. And now I'm more popular than I am too. I guess that means too. If you get some guy, whatever. Now that people know me and people know me personally, they know my posts are real, and they know that Igor have shown his actual personality. Now people know that whenever I translate stuff where Igor says that Devon and Michael ain't shit, now they know I'm saying the truth, and now they learn about Igor. So it kind of plays out to me, to be honest, because I've been telling people that Igor and me are not friends for a long time because he blocked me everywhere, and people seem to wonder why and stuff. But now it's a lot more clear and more understandable. So I get to where they kind of open up their personalities, because now, whatever, if I'm sharing some public information, people do listen to me in that case.
So you're a persona non grata at Zloty. You're not invited there at all.
Oh my God. So I can, if you have time, I can tell you this amazing story. So I can tell you an amazing story of me, Pushkar, and Devon in Tampa, and how I became to be called a forbidden man of arm wrestling.
Tell me, any story with Pushkar.
Okay, so I need to tell that story on my channel, but I've promised on my Instagram. This post got 600 likes for me to tell the story, but I hadn't done it. So, but I'll do it for your channel. So people that want exclusive stuff, they can go to your channel now. You can post it as a clip, and I'll post it eventually on my channel, that story with the footage. But I'll give you a breakdown. So, as you know, and whatever year it was, 2017, 18, Devon came to Florida. It was one of his private trips. Not many people know about it. Me, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from Devon, as usually. I'm the guy. He needs the table. He would like to see me, whatever. So I'm that cool. For everybody that doesn't know, Devon called. So I'm like, all right, bet, cool. I'll be there. I'll bring a table. It was I'll say it was somewhere near Tampa or somewhere in that general Tampa area. So I go there, bring a table. On the way there, in the same time, Pushkar is also in Florida. You see him in Miami pulling these, Christian Beanie and Dickey and stuff. I remember that. Yeah, so that's how it started. He came into Florida in the same time Devon did. And I was like, oh, nobody really knew they're going to pull. Nobody knew anything because it was so... People didn't know Devon was in Florida, really, because Devon kind of came because he couldn't have a big party. He's like, hey, some people knew that he's in Florida. If you want to come out, you kind of have to get invited. You come. So we had a little practice. That he asked me. I'm not going to say I was that much in charge, but she was like, hey, invite people. Just make sure it's not 100 people. I'm like, all right, cool. So I told whoever was asking. A lot of people got to see it and came here from. It was such a funny weekend. There was people were messaging me that weekend like, hey, is there practice going on? I'm here for vacation. Guy from Texas, guy from Vegas, guy from Sweden, Emil Ekström was in thing. I'm like, well, coincidentally, on this Thursday, you might pull with Devon Larratt if you want to come. They're like, oh shit, all right, cool. So they came, and they also got to pull Pushkar. But before we get to that, I don't know. So if you do this practice, I'm probably about an hour away or so to get to the practice. Devon calls me and he goes, hey, Andriy is coming too. I'm like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome, right? And at this time, I'm also figuring out my channel little by little. So it's got to be after 2017. It's probably 2018, 2019. I'm figuring out my channel. I kind of know the titles, maybe kind of know what to go for. So I know Devon's footage is going to be good. I need to have that. So he calls me, hey, Andriy's coming. Like, cool, perfect. But there's the thing. I think Igor told him that, he can be around you.
Around you specifically, or Devon?
Around me. I'm the person. I cannot be around. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm like, can I? I mean, I'm like an hour away. Or whatever. I was closer. I think no, you can be. I'll let you know. Whatever. Da, 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 da. I'm like, all right, cool. So because I don't really.
Pushkar told you directly that Igor told him that he can't be around you.
So I don't really know at what point Devon told me all that, but I remember
Devin
getting,
told you. Okay.
so yeah, Devon told. I remember I got to the house. Devon met me outside. He's like, yeah. So, but I don't know if he gave me over the phone or I got the whole breakdown in person. But
Sorry about that.
the breakdown was this. Oh, mine, calm down now.
Yeah.
The breakdown was this. Andriy's in Florida. Before he got to Florida, he got a message by Igor that like, hey, whatever you do whatever you want. You cannot get videotaped or you cannot hang out this. I don't know. There maybe was a list of people, but I was like the number one person on that list because Igor didn't like me. And I don't know what was the actual. It was some dumb reason. I think because me and Igor already got into bad relationships, so Pushkar was not yet allowed to film by me at all. So not at all. So I could not get any footage, whatever. And out of everybody in the whole country. So I come into this Airbnb and Devon gives speech to this. Like, can you imagine? Because there's a bunch of they filming commercial for the magical, for his company. So, and he tells a group of people like, hey, there's this guy coming from Ukraine, the monster arm wrestler, and the only person he cannot be around this is this forbidden guy. So he called me the forbidden man since then. And that kind of the reason I'm telling this big prequel, this is the reason you guys don't see an actual video from their practice. Because nobody was really allowed, and I was the number one person to be allowed to film that. That's why all you see from their practice is their little bullshit kind of back and forth going thing. Because Igor still wanted it for his promotional video because Zlatan was about to happen in a couple of months. So yeah, it was the same year Dennis was about to pull Devon and stuff, and that's why you guys don't see the video because nobody was allowed. I was not allowed, especially, and on top of that, I talked. Me and Kirill are still cool. So I talked to Kirill like, you guys couldn't ask me to like film it for you, for like to have a nice footage. They had to use the footage of someone's phone, and you get this great looking video on their channel. Like I was there, like, but Igor's ego is so big, probably. Like they couldn't just tell me like, hey, film it for us. Don't even have to pay me. Just film it. You'll have the same footage. But with a higher resolution, why are you guys going to be like that? So it was weird, but that's the reason people don't get to see that. And, we got to see it all in person. And I'm not, since we talk about it, I can tell you the way it went down too.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Yeah.
It went out fairly. It's hard to explain. You can't really say who won, who beat who, but it's the way it went, and you can make a decision for yourself. Devon was pulling everybody. Kind of Andriy came a little late, and he didn't want to pull because there's too many people there, people filming. He didn't want that on top of that, and eventually everything come down. Andriy and Devon pulled. Andriy was kind of just dominating him. The first couple, Devon is straining, but there's no stopping, right? Andriy kind of gets pulled through him a couple of times, both hands, I think. Eventually, not too far deep into that, but Devon gets sticky. Gets him where Devon will get you, gets the shoulder behind, doing the whole Devon thing, right? So he lost a couple of those rounds, but then at some point he stopped, came back, and did the whole Devon thing, and then he was dominant. So you can say Andriy was stronger. You can say Devon was Devon, whatever. Andriy did tell Devon that you'll beat Dennis. I don't know if he was nice or not, but at that point, I remember Andriy saying that he'll probably beat Dennis, but that didn't happen. So I don't know. And Andriy's also from Ukraine. Like I understand his manners. He will try to be nice. He probably just, I don't know if he was really thinking that, because Andriy also wants to be Dennis legitimately too at the time. So because Andriy got twins and Dennis, but he told himself that those didn't count because the Dennis was tired prior to that. So I don't know, when you want to beat somebody, you also want to encourage another person to beat them, right? Because you'll beat him. Like, I'll beat him. You'll beat him. So, but that's how the practice. Yeah, but exactly. But that's how the practice went down. They pulled a little bit. Andriy was a little stronger. Devon did cut him a little bit after that, and that's how it was.
Now, a couple of questions about Igor. Is he a Ukrainian? Because his last name Mazurenko sounds to me like a traditional Ukrainian name, right? No?
Yeah, but
Because
Igor
he's
is from
Polish.
the.
He's like in
Ig-
Poland, but he's
Well, they're Polish and Ukraine supposed to have bad relationship back in those times because they were killing each other. But if you're from, I don't know if I'm correct. I think if you're from Western Ukraine, you like a hard. They are them and Polish people like all together, and they hate Russians. Right? That's the number one thing they want to slaughter. They want to slaughter every Russian person, and that's where Igor is from. Igor is from the Russian Polish area, to where you speak both. You speak Russian. Well, three. You speak Polish and Ukrainian, and then you can speak Russian on top of that. So those people from that area, they are very, very racist in terms of Russian people. Everybody I've met from that area that are Polish Ukrainians, ooh, they're nasty.
yeah.
Like when they speak,
They're
and
the
Igor is like that. So Igor is Polish Ukrainian guy. I think he's probably originally. I think if you go to our regions, he's probably from Ukraine. But it's all kind of. I think it's all together over there.